Good morning, everybody. Do you like riding trains? Or imagine you might. Well, the most famous train, perhaps, was the Orient Express, which went from Paris down to Istanbul and other places. Anyway, it made its debut run on this date, June 5, in 1883. In 1829, George Stephenson created the rocket, the first steam train locomotive, which was a curiosity at first, but it really caught on, particularly in England, and you can see from this map, as we go from left to right, how railroads spread throughout Europe, really starting in Britain. Now, meanwhile, in our country, railroads were big too, and in the 1860s, George Pullman created the Pullman car, and here's a picture, a luxurious railroad car. So the fellow who starts the Orient Express was Mr. Nagelmacher, and there's one theory that he learned of the idea from George Pullman, although that's circumstantial. But he formed a company that was basically the company of sleeping car trains, and this becomes the Orient Express. Now, it left Paris on this date, June 5 in 1883, for Vienna. It didn't go all the way to what was known as Constantinople. That will become its ultimate destination. So this map shows the route of the Orient Express. Eventually, you could get on in London, then you'd go to Paris, and basically follow the Danube and make your way over to Constantinople. And that was really exotic for people, and it was very luxurious. That was part of the fun, but also part of the fun was this feeling that you were really going to a strange place. You know, the East was mysterious, and here's a poster that sort of captures the idea that you're going to a really exotic place. Turkey, for instance, seemed really far away to people. So when you pulled into Constantinople, here it is today, Istanbul, you'd see the big mosque, the Hagia Sophia, you'd see the bazaar, you'd see the Sultan's palaces, and you would see this very cool train station. It looks very Baroque, doesn't it? And it's still there. It's the main train station in Constantinople. So when you got off at the train station, you really knew you were in a faraway place. Well, World War I came in 1914, so the train stopped running. The warring powers, of course, used the railroad in a big way. And then when World War I ended, things picked up again, especially because of this. This is the Simplon Tunnel, finished in 1919, which went under the Alps. And this was a big engineering marvel. And it led to 3 different lines for the Orient Express in the 1930s, the heyday of the Orient Express. And this map shows the various routes of the train. There was the original one, and then there were other ones too. And this photograph shows how luxurious it was on the inside of one of those train cars in the 1930s. And part of the fun, of course, was not only the luxury of your car, but the food on the Orient Express was really first class, with great chefs and just a lot of fun. Well, it came to an end again when World War II came. And after World War II ended, you've got more and more airplanes, more and more automobiles, and train service, of course, in Europe gets bigger and bigger. Some of you have ridden the trains in Europe, but that dedicated Orient Express went in sort of fits and starts until it finally gave up the ghost. And there's a Dutch photographer who's taken a bunch of pictures of abandoned Orient Express railroad cars here and there, and those are pretty striking. So if you love trains, perhaps you've read this book. Paul Theroux rides all different kinds of trains as he travels around, and he mentions the Orient Express in this book. You might recall Sean Connery as 007 in the movie From Russia with Love is escaping from the bad guys on the Orient Express for a little while. Then he has to get off to carry on with his mission. And this book, Murder on the Orient Express, and then there are movies made of it, well known to most people. a reminder of the hold that train had on the people's imagination.